What's up, guys? Mason the Rock Henderson here, and this is Legends of Tomorrow Season 2, Episode 13, Land of the Lost. So this was kind of a two-parter type thing where you got two stories going on. First one is a little bit less interesting, but it's still okay. We've got Ray and Nate and Amaya all go out into what is like, I can't remember what BC it was, but apparently this was the time that Ray was trapped in, which is actually pretty interesting to actually get to see a little bit of what Ray had to go through. So we go back to this crustacean era, and the ship crash lands there. So one of the pieces of the ship that they need goes spinning out and into the wilderness, so they have to go and retrieve it. And apparently it's right in the middle of a T-Rex territory, because of course, whenever you travel back into the crustacean area, you have to see a T-Rex, or else it just wouldn't be real. So they're going to get it, and pretty much the entire time is either Ray talking about his time there, or going through Nate and Amaya's little relationship thing going on. And they actually took it into a little bit of a different territory than I even thought they were going to, because I didn't think about this, but because Amaya is from another timeline, and we see, or not another time, a past time, and we've of course seen future Vixen, we know that she has a daughter, or she has a granddaughter that eventually will take over these powers that she has. So I didn't even really consider that when Nate was starting to kind of hook up with her. I was just like, really, we're gonna have this hookup now? It doesn't really contribute to anything. It doesn't feel like, whatever. But the fact that they brought this up actually makes it a little bit more interesting, because that's a valid point that Ray brings up. Like, he really can't be affecting the time like this. That's not how this works. Especially because he's a part of the team now. He's one of the legends. He should be caring more about the timeline than he is right now. And honestly, like, all of that was very interesting, and seeing Ray talk about it, and seeing at the end how there's like a little bit of a connection, and Ray comes in and says, I apologize for interfering. You two can do whatever you want. And he's just like, no, you're right. I really shouldn't be. But then they kind of ended on a joke, and I felt like that sort of took I don't know, like it felt like a good emotional lesson in all of this about affecting the timeline. And then they ended on, I'll start tomorrow, and starts heading towards Amaya's room. I'm just like, seriously? Like that just sort of took any sort of seriousness out of that situation. Like, all of that was just for that final joke, and it didn't feel right. It didn't feel like, after everything that we went through in this episode, where Nate's struggling with that, and then he decides at the end that he's going to say, I gotta break this off, and then says, never mind, I'll do it tomorrow. It just didn't feel right. It didn't feel like it was right at the end of what the rest of the episode was trying to do. So that was my only complaint there. The rest of it was fairly interesting. There is a T-Rex scene, which I was wondering if they were going to actually fight it, but we see Amaya, like, steps up to it, uses her Vixen powers, and then talks to the T-Rex, like, woman to woman. Just that scene was pretty awesome to actually get to watch. The other part of it is definitely the more interesting part. They take Rip Hunter after he shuts down the ship and causes him to crash in the crustacean era, and Mick brings up this technique that the Time Masters use on him, some sort of cognitive, invasion of his mind. And so Sarah and Jax go into his mind and try to help him escape from there. And so as they're going through, they see part of the reason why he's constantly attacking them is because in his mind, all of them are attacking him. So they are fighting themselves almost. And honestly, a lot of that is pretty cool. Just, obviously, I've seen a lot of these tricks before when you have the same actress in the same scene. I've seen this everywhere. But I don't know, there's something a little bit different about the way they handled it. Just, obviously the fight scenes are the same as usual. You just use a different actress that looks similar. But just watching them whenever they first showed up, it's like, we want to show how good our effects are. And so they had them, like, circling each other, where most of the time they stay on opposite sides of the screen, so it's like, oh, so this scene was shot like this, and this scene was shot like that. This time they're like, no, look at this. They can actually cross each other and circle each other. They're still there. Isn't that awesome? Just like, I don't know, I understood that they were trying to show it off, but it was still pretty cool. But then, of course, all just watching them have to fight each other is pretty cool. I will say that Firestorm as evil in this world, or in Rip's mind, was pretty cool to look at. I mean, already Firestorm is pretty cool. But watching him here, it's a dark fire that he has, so it's like red and black coming out of his head and coming out of his hands. It was pretty cool to look at. But the rest of it it's fairly straightforward until about halfway through. You know, Sarah ends up locked up with Rip inside of the prison inside the Waverider. So she's talking to him. She sees that he's scared of them, and so that's why everything is going on the outside how it is. But Jax is going through the ship, and all of a sudden he hears knocking in Morse code, and he's just like, "Sarah, is that you?" And all of a sudden you hear Gideon's like, "Mr. Jackson, I'm glad you got my message." I'm just like, "Wait, Gideon's what?" And then all of a sudden he comes upon Gideon in physical form, and I was just like, "Wait, what?" And so as we're going through this, I'm kind of theorizing what this all means. You know, how is she there? Is this Rip's mind physically putting Gideon there as kind of a safeguard or something like that? You know, is there some sort of subconscious thing going on? Well, we're going through and Gideon's helping them escape. They fight a little bit more, and then Rip finally realizes he has to be the one to get them out of there. So he takes away all of the evil versions of the team, and then his mind, because he realizes this is all inside of his mind, is starting to break down. So Jax and Sarah get out of there, and then there's an emotional moment at the end where, you know, Gideon and the Waverider have always been there for him, and it's almost like seeing them personified as a person, and of course a beautiful person at that. You know, what are the chances? But that kind of, it leads to an emotional moment where they kiss, and it's just like, oh, okay, well, it's a little bit weird considering that he's pretty much doing this to an AI on his ship, but I'll let it go because, yeah, I could see where the emotional connection could come in. We've seen some moments like this, like earlier on in the season where he's about to sacrifice himself to save the rest of the team, and Gideon's just like, "I'm here, Captain." He's like, "Yes, you always are." And so you can kind of see where there is a bit of a connection between him and the ship. But then all of a sudden we get to the end, and he's seen the rest of the team. Of course, all of that scene was pretty well done. You know, just him finally a part of the team again. I love how they handled that. But then we see the final scene with him, and he's just like, he's talking to Gideon, and he's just like, "I'm sorry for what." Actually, this comes before he sees the team again. Anyway, but he's talking to Gideon. He's like, "I'm sorry for everything that I did." And she's like, "What? Making me override the ship or our kiss?" I must say that if it's the latter, I really enjoyed it. And I'm just like, wait, what? What? So I'm starting to feel like Gideon isn't an AI. I'm wondering if she's something else. And I don't know. I've been theorizing about this, just wondering what could it all mean. Because it's inside of his mind, unless somehow she was also inside of there, like if she hacked in somehow. Maybe that's how. But it almost kind of feels like she's more than just an AI. It feels like she's got more of a conscience than an AI should. So I'm wondering if this is going to come into play later on this season, or if this is just kind of a thing that they sort of threw in here, like, oh, Rip and his ship are very, very close, and everything that they've been through, it's almost like, that's just the connection that they have. Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. I'm wondering if they're going to talk about it, or if this is just going to be something that gets pushed to the side. But of course, like I said, Rip gets to be back with the team. One of the funnier moments whenever he's back is Gideon saying, "Everybody's waiting for you, Captain," and Sarah and Rip at both times say, "Thank you, Gideon." I'm wondering how that's going to be handled, because honestly, Rip, it feels like the team without Rip is started to click. Sarah leading all of that stuff. But at the same time, I do think Rip adds an element to the team where he knows more about the time stuff. He's a time master, so he knows about traveling through time. He knows more about history and just how all of this can affect everything. Obviously, the team has started to figure this out more and more without him, but I do think having him on there is like, it's a guiding force. Will he instantly come in and take over as captain? I don't think so, but I do expect him to come back into the team. I'm really hoping they're not going to go the route that I'm thinking, where at the end of the season, he's going to be like, you guys have done well enough without me, I don't think you need me anymore, and then leaves, and then he's not a part of the show anymore. I would hate that, because I do think him and the team click really well. Um, Especially, I mean, this final scene that they have where everybody's reunited and they're all talking to him again. It's like, hey, welcome back and all of that stuff. I feel like that right there, that scene, just really signifies how well this team just the chemistry between them is really there. You can see it; it's very clear. So I don't think taking him out of the team would make things better. I think it'd probably make things a little bit worse. Even though without Rip they've done okay this season, I just think having Rip in there adds that element that's just like, this is a team. This is a team that I want to tune in every week to see. So the final thing, of course, is they ask him, "Do you know where the Spirit of Destiny is?" Or the final piece is like, "Yes, I do." And then we go to the NASA program where I think that was Nate's grandfather. I couldn't really tell because he wasn't in his suit, and I only saw him like once without his suit on earlier in the season. I don't really remember it very well. Um, but we see at the NASA program, and I guess if that is him, he's talking about getting on the Apollo 13 ship, and there's Eobard Thawne talking to him about his eligibility to get on. So clearly Eobard's already figured this out, so he's there. So now it's a race against time, but as the team will try to stop him. So I'm very curious to see where this is going, but it's very exciting. I'm looking forward to see what's going to happen next. It's really good right now. It's really fun to watch. I'm really excited to see what the rest of the season holds because who knows? Like anything can happen at this point. So I really wonder what's going to happen next. I wonder how it's all going to tie in with the rest of the other shows on CW as well. And yeah, it's really good. So let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. What did you like and dislike about this episode? Let me know. We can talk about it and discuss all the good stuff. Leave a like and subscribe to Future Legends of Tomorrow, and I'll see you at the next one. Peace out.